Buenos días o buenas tardes, dependiendo de donde se encuentren, cuando estén escuchando este livestream, aquí ahora en vivo o más tarde cuando estén en los diferentes canales. Este es Jesús Hoyos de CRM Latinoamérica, de Tomando Café con Jesús Hoyos. Esto es el episodio que doy todos los todos los viernes por la tarde, a la 1:15 de la tarde, donde hablo un poquito pues, de las industrias de CRM y las noticias, y traigo invitados. Y esta vez pues tengo pues el gran honor de tener pues a los ejecutivos de SugarCRM, Craig Charlton y Rich Green, el CEO y el CTO. Ya mismo pues entrarán y hacemos las introducciones y vamos a hablar un poquito también del café que estamos tomando, ¿no? Para hacer aquí pues los disclaimers y las cosas pues de self-promotion, ¿no? Bueno, ya saben, este live stream y los podcasts y los videos, pues, aparte de verlo en los timelines de las redes sociales, pues va a estar disponible en el blog de jesushoyos.com. Ahora mismo, pues, a los que nos están siguiendo, pues van a ver que estamos en Facebook, estamos en Twitter, ¿okay? Estamos en YouTube, ¿okay? Y más tarde, pues, una vez que ya esté publicado esto, pues vamos a estar en LinkedIn. Vamos a estar también en Instagram y por aquí pues el hashtag de Tomando Café, ¿no? En particular hoy, y la razón pues que tenemos de invitados pues a Craig Charlton y a Rick Green, es que, o sea, yo llevo pues una historia pues monitoreando y trabajando con ellos de muchos años atrás, ¿no? He hecho con ellos pues webinars, he estado haciendo white papers, he tenido one-to-one con los ejecutivos, he estado en charlas, inclusive por ahí en SlideShare tengo charla de cómo manejar el tema de CRM en Latinoamérica. Y ellos pues han evolucionado, ¿no? Ellos fueron comprados por un private equity firm, tienen un nuevo CEO, pues que es Craig Charlton también. Ellos adquirieron una empresa de marketing automation que la tienen embebida en su CRM. Ellos han evolucionado no solamente, pues, como ustedes conocen a SugarCRM con un CRM de open source, pues también pues están en la nube. Tú lo puedes tener on-premise, lo puedes tener en tu Amazon. Y han evolucionado poco a poco en el mercado de B2B. También tienen un mercado interesante de B2C en Latinoamérica. ¿Okay? Están en los reportes de Gartner y Forrester. Y pues esta semana ellos anunciaron pues la compra de esta plataforma de Node.io, que es una plataforma de inteligencia artificial. Y la razón de esto es que vamos a hablar qué implica esa noticia para ellos y el mercado, ¿no? Y algo pues muy interesante porque lo anunciaron y yo creo que va a impactar bastante, ¿no? Entonces, vamos a traerlo, vamos a hablar de café primero y luego pues vamos a tener pues la charla y aquí que voy a, como dicen, voy a switch to English y vamos a hacer la conversación en inglés y esto luego pues lo tendré en el blog pues en español, ¿no? Entonces pues vamos aquí a traer ahora a Greg y a Rich. Great, Rich, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Thank you for having us on your pod. Appreciate it.
Excellent, excellent. So, I know that, we were discussing last week, the news, and it was very interesting, and you were, more than happy to share the news here on my live stream. And while I do the format introduction, we have Craig Charlton here, the CEO of SugarCRM, and Rich Green, which is the CTO and Chief Product Officer. And we're going to discuss the news, I'll let you guys now discuss who you are and all that good stuff before we go into the conversation. But one of the things that, I'm doing this, and the title of this live stream is Tomando Café, drinking coffee with Jesús Hoyos. And it's a perfect segue because it's, Tomando Café with sugar, CRM, for those who drink, your coffee with sugar, like I do, a lot of sugar. Today I'm drinking out of my cup, which is, I have a bunch of memories, and eventually that will be a different podcast or live stream. But I'm drinking a coffee out of Puerto Rico. For those who follow me, I'm from Puerto Rico, and it's called Café Borinquen. It's for a small town called Adjuntas. And Borinquen is the Taíno, or the Native American people from Puerto Rico, that, Puerto Rico is to be called Borinquen, and that's why, Puerto Ricans are also known as Boricuas. Okay, so every time that we see each other somewhere, we say, "Hey, Boricua." So that's our nickname. That's how we identify with each other. So so Craig, what are you drinking?
I went the really easy option, Jesus, which is Starbucks. I had back-to-back meetings, so my wife ran down and quickly grabbed me a Starbucks, which it's okay. I'm from Melbourne, Australia, and we're very, very big on our coffee. So very, very snobby. Starbucks actually set up a number of stores in Melbourne, and then I think they had to close pretty much all of them because no one went to drink there. They all go to their local coffee shop and their favorite barista. So
yeah,
it's just easy. So
yeah. Any particular type of coffee you drink, or just black coffee?
no, this is a latte.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
in Australia we would normally get a flat white, which is your cappuccino has a lot of foam, latte has a little bit of foam, the flat white has no foam. So, but yeah, in the US I just asked for a latte with no froth or no foam.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one it is. But anyway.
Yeah, perfect. And Rich, what are you drinking?
Well, let's see. First, drinking out of my traditional geek beaker here, but let's see. This is
wait, that's a lot of coffee, right?
well, I'm a thirsty guy. This is Pete's coffee here, and that's a local or Bay Area original higher end coffee grinder, coffee vendor, and they have a bunch of shops around here. It's spread out over here. This bag is French roast. This cup is Italian roast, and I kind of live on that. I cook it all in a Jura impressa machine, so it saves some time, but it makes excellent coffee.
Perfect. And the reason because of the drinking coffee, because this is one of the things of my activity that I miss in Latin America. Usually, when you're in the office, let's talk, let's take a walk, let's go down to the coffee shop in the corner. And that's where we sit down, and then people are starting, can I have that type of coffee with this and that, with foam, without foam, with a little more milk, or less foam, this type of color. And that's when you start the conversation, and suddenly you start talking about something else that has nothing to do with CRM. So that's the leeway to start talking about CRM. So, and that brings us to the topic. SugarCRM acquired Node.io, which is a artificial intelligence platform. So what that means, what that acquisition means for you guys, I'll let you guys, open that for discussion.
Well, yeah, look, Jesus, it's for us, I've probably been involved in 30 or so acquisitions over the years. For me, this is by far the most exciting. So we have a lot of companies come over our desk, and we heard from the Node guys that, they had this incredible level of accuracy in terms of forward-looking predictions. And it's easy to say, but we put them to the ultimate test. So we actually gave them 3 use cases. We gave them our database from 6 months ago, so our internal CRM data, and we agreed 3 different use cases. One was the propensity for marketing qualified leads to become sales qualified. One was the propensity or the probability of a sales qualified lead being won. And then the third one was customers who are likely to attrit. And we gave them our database, as I said, 6 months old, and we gave them 24 hours and said, tell us what's going to happen. And expecting that, if they were outstanding, we might be getting predictions in the sort of 60 to 70% range. All of the predictions came back across all 3 in the 80s and 90s. So with 24 hours, very little understanding of the sugar underlying schema and logic, they came up with prediction accuracy that was far beyond anything that we expected and far beyond anything we've ever seen before. So ultimately, that is the ultimate test for.
We lost him. Rich, are you there? No,
I'm here.
Yeah, Murphy. Which we were talking about that today. The new normality of the internet. So let me see if let me remove him and then bring him back. Okay. Yeah, I think we lost his connectivity.
Okay.
So now it's you, Rich. You need to pick up from.
No problem. So let's see where'd we start? It's essentially the node value fits into Sugar's overall strategy a great deal. Our view, going forward, is that people should no longer have to enter a lot of data into their CRM to get value out of it. And the value they should get is much more in the area of insights and guidance, rather than staring at data and realizing the value of those things. And so to continue what Craig was saying, we put these guys through the challenge, this 24-hour test of, could you, given our data, and it was 6-month-old data, so we could test against their model results, because by then it had actually happened. How well would you do? And the results were incredible, even given a 24-hour time frame to build models and tune them. And it ended up in 2 areas in particular: extremely high quality, high probability results against the actual opportunities to close and forecasting results. It was also very good at saying which deals you should ignore, which deals are not likely going to happen, and so please move to these other deals. And in a 24-hour time period, to be able to compute those results without really being facile with the data, knowledgeable with the data, was really, really incredible.
So from that perspective, and you say you're giving 6 months of data, that's when you talk about the data, it's the data that you have in your CRM system. Is data that people are using every day. And based on that, you came back with the results. So, when we talk about, artificial intelligence, machine learning, we talk about all this stuff about training the data, the fact that you need to have a lot of data, that you have to, learn from that process and coming back. What is unique about Node.io that, they were able to provide that in 24 hours and then come back to you and say, hey, these are the results?
Yeah, let me give you the overview of how it works. And it's a combination of the Node technology plus some new technology that is gone live in Sugar. Let's start with Node. The difference between Node and some other machine learning solutions is it's built as a platform. It's built to generate models and do AI at a wide scale, generating models very quickly based on the data. And I'll explain how it works in a moment. But in addition, it was always designed for a business use case. And to your point, CRMs or other business systems often are very thin in the detail of the data or the quality of the data. So what Node does is it goes out and draws on commercial databases and does a very complex machine learning analytics model and creates 75 different types of variables that it pumps into the model in addition to the CRM data in this case. So the models are deeply informed not only by the actual use case data, the CRM data, but by external data like company data, industry data, business personal data that feeds into the models and supplements that information as well. So much more accuracy than you could generate by counting solely on the data in the CRM. In addition, it generates a variety of models and automatically and picks the model that's most appropriate to that. But we can get into that a little bit later.
Okay, perfect. And one of the key things here is that, you have this time-aware logic, okay, as well. And where, within the CRM system, you also, try to understand, what will be the time or one particular activity, one particular interaction, one particular opportunity. That's something that's well that today, you try to aggregate, put the timestamp to understand more the data that you have already in the CRM system. And then by combining that data, that technology functionality of the time awareness, you bring that now into Node.io and, having those two combinations, and that's what I thought that was very interesting because like you said, the challenge that you have today in understanding the thin data that you have today in the CRM system because of, data quality, you're rushing, you're putting the data because you have to put a report, you're not putting the data because you have to understand the customer. When you put all those two elements together, the time awareness and Node.io, what are the benefits that prospects and customers from SugarCRM will gain out of that?
Yeah, first of all, you really nailed it, Desus, and we have openings here at Sugar if you ever want to come over and join. But because you really got it right. So let me start at the bottom and work my way up. In addition to the Node platform, which is just an amazing piece of technology that will turn into solutions that the industry hasn't seen before, what we've been working on for the last year and a half or so is something called the CXP, the time-aware data system, where we take all of the information going into all of the sugar products, whether it's market, sell, or serve product lines, and we create event streams out of that and store that in a time-aware database. And then we create projections of that data that can be fed into Node or Sugar Discover or other things. And I don't think people yet grasp the importance of time in understanding your business and coming up with AI models. It's not only what happened, but what happened when. And that trend, I often use the metaphor of sitting down and turning on Netflix, and you flip it on and you see one frame of the movie, and from that you're supposed to understand the plot and the characters and how did it start, how it end, and that's what business systems are like. They can tell you what's true now and a little bit of sprinkling of history. We believe it should be you should be able to replay the entire sequence, the entire movie of an interaction with a customer or a market, et cetera, and not only observe that, but use that time-based data to feed into an AI engine, along with the supplemental information that Node provides, to provide things like really accurate forecasts based on not only what is true now, but what has happened in history, and not only for that account, for accounts that look like it. What is the probability of closing a deal? And again, looking back in time, you can judge based on history and other accounts, what is the probability of this particular opportunity to close? You can also go through a customer's database and analyze what's their ideal customer profile and what deal should be focusing on based on that. So the value of a platform to generate multiple tuned models, auto-selecting the model, supplementing it with external data, using time-based information in the CRM to drive those models, give you a set of solutions and a level of accuracy that you couldn't get to previously.
And so we have the time awareness, the data automation that was what you're discussing, but then you have something that I think the added value that you mentioned is data enrichment. Will that data enrichment also take care of the traditional issues of data quality, or having one person with different emails and understanding that person is related to that company, so you can do that projection eventually in your opportunities forecast and so on?
Yes. So in addition to using the sort of metadata of that data to drive the models, having that information plus using our hint product, we have the ability to clean the existing database that people rely on. As your point is, the information ages out or was entered improperly or wasn't entered at all. We can draw on these supplemental data systems to clean that data using machine learning models to determine which is the right answer. If there are conflicting information, what is likely to be the right information, or adding information that should have been there but wasn't. So yes, that is on the path as well. We're going to start initially with solutions in our SFA or Sugar Cell product, but that's in the roadmap as well.
And then comes the journey. So because we can talk about SFA, we can talk about marketing automation, service, e-commerce, and traditionally, we start with those islands of automations to do the prediction. But eventually, you go here is that, you want to enhance the whole, customer journey to do that. So what will be the next step, or what will be, or maybe it's already there, how do you perceive that coming from marketing automation to sales to service, to be sure that predictability that Node.io is going to give you is not only it's going to be based on marketing, sales, and support, but also in the whole journey. How that's going to evolve?
Yeah, so let me make a point before that. We believe that access to insights and recommendations should be a capability that everyone realizes. So the first release of the node-powered solutions will be in our Salesforce automation product called SugarCell. And that will be made available bundled in the product. You don't buy separate things, just a set of new features for forecasting or opportunity close and other things that just come with the product. And it's usable by an individual salesperson. It's valuable to the head of an organization. It's the democratization of AI that is really what we're focusing on. But to your point, oh, yes, please.
No, so Richard, that means that, so if I have sugar today, if a node comes in, that's going to be part of the product. I don't have to buy something separately.
That's correct. In early next year, when we go live with the production version of node-powered solutions in our products, the first one will be SugarCell, and those features will just appear. There's nothing else to buy. Over time, we'll have advanced versions of SugarCell that has a richer set of AI-powered things. But we believe whether it's our marketing automation product, Sugar Market, or our customer service, Sugar Serve product, as well as Sell, the future is insights and recommendations, not staring at data. And that should be true for every user. You don't have to add it. That should be the way people work. So we're including, our plans show that we're including node-powered AI solutions in the products that people can buy today as just a new set of features that everyone receives.
Perfect. That's very key for your Latin American users. So I'm glad you're mentioning that. Okay.
Yeah. To your other point, though, about seeing across, one of the great values of our time-aware CXP is it combines the information from all of our products. So the marketing automation information is in there, the customer service information is in there, as well as the SFA information. So when you're thinking about for example, a customer health score for a sales representative to understand, computing that requires data in particular from the service product, the customer service product, to understand how many cases they have, or the NOP analytics of the sentiment analysis of customer interactions in those cases, or marketing responses. So even though answers will first show up in Sell, it'll be drawing on information that's made available from all of the products combined into a series of streams in our time-aware database.
And that's, that comes into the whole, business integration. And, going back to you said that's going to be included. So what will be the immediate impact of somebody that, is going to purchase SugarCRM tomorrow? What they can start using with Node.io, once they make the purchase of Sugar? What will be the first step, the first immediate benefit that they're going to gain?
Well, we're still working on the details, but two obvious ones will be what are viewed as most valuable, which is forecasting and likelihood of close. As Craig says, the predictability of an organization is what differentiates successful organizations from less successful ones. And forecasting is really the thing you have to focus on to be able to predict this quarter, following quarter results at the aggregate level of a forecast and at the individual level of a deal closing. Also examining, the likelihood of different stages is important, but predictability is the overarching virtue for this first round of offerings included in the SugarCell product coming early next year.
Rich, how do you foresee, having the traditional customer 360 challenge that we get today? Because, one of the things that I see as an added value, is your understanding of getting deep into that information within the CRM system. It's not that you have to take the information out, do something out there in a data warehouse, bring up, because it's going to be embedded in your solution, as far as my understanding. And one of the challenges, and a lot of stuff when we talk about customer 360, again, is two words that we use out there, but people, you need to understand what that is. Because within your own system, you can gain knowledge, get the basic customer 360 to be proactive, to be in front of the customer. And do you see a benefit, having, the time-based, the time-aware functionality? We know that you're having all that together, just looking at the data that you have in front of you. Usually it's the small data, the small details that you have in front of you in your CRM system versus going into the big data out there. How is it? I'm saying this right? Is that something that is a benefit that people are going to get, by just looking at the data that you have within your CRM system and use Node to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me explain. There are a couple of important concepts here. First of all, by storing the data in a single form from all aspects of your business, whether it's marketing automation or sales or service, you can examine the full life cycle of a customer and more accurately understand the health at the moment. There are a few other things you can do, which is because we store it over time, you can get understand trends or the evolving nature of their 360 view that has happened before that moment. But by using machine learning or AI, you can then project what it's likely to be, right? Based on trends and history, this is where this account is heading. And based on these trends, you need to take these actions now. So it's not enough to understand, but based on staring at a bunch of different data points, what you surmise their health is, but also understanding the trends that get you there and using AI to really tell you, giving you the insight to go whether this is a serious situation that must be pursued now. And here are the reasons why, which is the thought of the notion of explainability in AI is it draws a conclusion and it tells you why it drew that conclusion. And for CRM, the explainability is part. So it tells you what's happened before, it tells you what's likely to happen in the future, and it tells you why it drew that conclusion and what you should do about it.
Yeah, one of the key challenges that I have today, when we discuss, CRM and MarTech, is the amount of data that through a marketing automation system, which you already have, which let me point this out to the people who are listening to me in Latin America. Traditionally, when we used to think about SFA, you will buy the SFA module from any CRM system. Okay, it will have service, but the marketing part was a way to generate leads and do emailings and making phone calls. That's the traditional, marketing module. Then you have, the actual marketing automation, and then, you have 5,000 of them out there in the MarTech world. And you guys brought, your own marketing automation, and it's already embedded in the solution. I mean, it's part of the ecosystem. Mm-hmm. So that's a big plus. Okay. And now saying that, they have, Sugar has a marketing automation integrated, embedded into the system. And when you look at the marketing automation system, and this is, I want to mention that because here comes what I want to get at is that traditionally, when you go into a landing page and you ask for 5 things, the marketing automation system is going to get, 20, 60 data points, mm-hmm. that you're going to gain. And that information from the marketing system is the small data that you have in front of you that's going to help you do a lot of the stuff that we're talking here with Node, and when you're talking, Rich, about helping you predict the sales cycle, who are the good leads or deals, the benefit that you're going to get all that data as well from the marketing point of view. Mm-hmm. That you can use, because I see in many CRM implementation that we forget to look into that data. We're talking the data in front of you. How many opens of the email? I'm talking the email that you have today. Forget the marketing automation email. The email that goes out of Sugar CRM. Mm-hmm. The phone call, plus the email that goes out from the marketing automation. The chat. The how many clicks, how many all the stuff that you do. This is data telling you, hey, I'm on here. I want to tell you stuff, And we forget about that data that is right there, and I think, one of the key components that you have is, this time aware that you go into a deep dive into understanding what that data is, and then you bring that into artificial intelligence. That's something that for me, we're forgetting to look into it. And I think with your acquisition with Node, you're going to accelerate people understanding, hey, you want to have good insights. We're going to, give you the democracy of the data. Okay, give me good data, because I think that's the other side effect. Once the salesperson, the marketing person understand all those cool stuff that you're going to get with that simple data that you get in the day-to-day operation, people are going to change their chip and say, hey, I need to understand how to track that data, capture that data, maintain it clean. And I think that's a big plus long-term for a lot of the companies that have the issue today that the CRM is a control system,
Yeah, no, look, at the very high level, our view is the boundaries between marketing automation, sales, and service are more strict than happens in reality. They're based on the products people sold, not the way people work. And being able to bring all that information together is really what businesses are about, and ignoring the traditional, firewalls between different products and different organizations. To your second point, though, if you do aggregate all that information, all the 60 data points from every campaign, et cetera, or every email or web search, you end up with a lot of data. And we know that humans have limited capacity to stare at lots of information and draw conclusions. After a certain amount of information, it exceeds their ability to assimilate that. And that's why AI is so important, because if we succeed in gathering all this information from the node data embeddings, from the time-aware database, from the CRM itself, we know we'll exceed a person's ability to make sense of it. And so what we have to do is, the value of Node is apply artificial intelligence to that mass of data, so it can give you what is the important things you need to know at this stage of a customer life cycle, and what should you do about it. And we'll be drowning in data, and we don't want to drown the user in data. We want to give them the insights from that information. So yeah, and by the way, in marketing automation, one of the classic problems focusing on AI for marketing automation is you've heard of nurtures, the process of continuously programmatically interacting with a given individual to bring them closer and closer. But understanding how nurtures work and what is more effective has always been sort of the big challenge in marketing automation. Applying the node technology to a nurture interaction, you can then tell the CMO to say, these programs work, these kind of interactions or advertisements or offers are the things that are most effective in bringing customers to you. When it's all running, it's hard to really tell what's working and what's not. But we already have AI models or visions of AI models that can work through all the noise and tell you, this is the most effective nurture campaign that you should be running.
And will you see this? Because marketing automation is complex. It's very complicated. It's data driven like crazy. You have to analyze contents, the touch points, the sales cycle, the stages in the opportunity, in relationship with the campaign, campaign attribution, all that kind of stuff. So you foresee Node to be part of that equation, solve a lot of those issues as well?
Absolutely. So as I said, we're going to include AI, node-powered AI solutions in our Sugar Cell product, but we're also going to include them in our Sugar Market product, because we believe, again, the democratization of AI, everybody in your organization should have access to AI-powered solutions. So you don't have to stare at the details, draw conclusions that are ill-informed. We can help you with understanding what's happening in your marketing campaigns and make recommendations about what you should be doing as follow-up in marketing programs. So as effective as it is for selling, it's equally effective for marketing and customer support as well.
Yeah, and one of the key things that I'm trying to understand from in the market, because everybody's doing AI, and you guys went acquire Node, and and there's way too many options out there. Why not IO and not go with something on Amazon, on Google, or Sugar out there, because that's a route a lot of other companies are doing, and there's other vendors like you guys who have a mix of everything, and how do you see that positioning of buying Node, putting all together, and the competition out there? How do you see that?
Well, first of all, Node runs on AWS, so it's already a part of Amazon and uses a variety of services that Amazon offers. But as I said earlier, it's a platform, and building the platform model so it can auto-generate models, auto-tune them, do auto ML analytics, and figure out the best algorithm for solving a particular problem. That's far above what cloud vendors, even our close partner AWS, offers. So we have with Node very highly tuned AI algorithms, but we also rely on a lot of the services that are in AWS as well. So think of it as a mixture. We want to build on the shoulders of experts, right? And there are a lot of brilliant people over at AWS, but AWS doesn't know about CRM. It doesn't know about CRM use cases, and it doesn't offer a platform to do that. So think of Node and our CXP, our time-aware system, as building on those building blocks to provide highly tuned systems designed for the use cases that are important for our CRM customers. And then the brilliant technology of bringing extra data into Node, plus the platform that does the work for our data scientists and our engineers. They're focusing on building the system that can automatically build models, rather than just relying on libraries, whether it's AWS or Google, to figure out how to piece that together. That's done under the covers in the Node system, so we could focus on solutions rather than building the machinery to build to generate the answers.
Perfect. So, Rich, I think we really lost Craig, so I don't know if you're going to be able to come back or not. So
yeah, I know. I got a note that he had a massive outage in his area, and it's not due to come online for an hour or two.
Perfect. And it's the new normality, so that's something that we have to deal with. So that's fine. It happens. So so the other day I lost completely my connection, and the person that was speaking, he took the show over. I wasn't there for 5 minutes, and then I came in and he said, "Welcome back to my show. Jesus is the participant now."
Well, we have to get Craig back. He really has the overall industry and business point of view that I may not have done an adequate job of sharing. I'm focusing on how it all works and the value to our customers.
Oh, I see that he might be showing up. So I saw he's coming in. So let's see if he shows up in the camera. So we can discuss that. Because one of the key things, the reason I was asking that, because again, there's confusion in the market, and I think the fact that you mentioned is a platform, is the compelling part of for this, So here we go. Welcome back.
6 months working from home, not a hiccup at all. Midway through the first answer, and the entire neighborhood internet shuts down.
It happens. It happens. Listen, I do have when I moved to this area here in Florida, they were telling us, "Hey, listen, you're close to 5 hospitals. You have the county office nearby. You have the fire people. You have the policemen. Internet will never go down.
That's a big call.
And it goes down all the time, So it happens. So
that was just very unfortunate.
And now it happened. Actually, it's good timing, So we still have a good 5 or 10 minutes to go, and Rich, he did a good job. He took over.
Rich always does a great job. I knew you were in safe hands, but it was a bit of an undignified exit, though.
but at that moment, he said, maybe I didn't, and that's when you show up. So in summary, we went over the reason why you guys are buying, acquire, a Node.io, Node.io as a platform. We discussed, the time awareness, and the combination of putting that together with Node. We discussed, the capabilities of looking into the small data, the data that you have in front of you in the CRM system, so you can maintain that. And we also discussed, everything that had to do with, with bringing that into the whole customer experience, and understanding, what that means, And I know that when discussed this last week, you talk about the low visibility of the data with the high definition of the data, and probably, you can explain that and explain the different use cases, comparing that, into the low definition of looking at a picture and the high definition into looking into a picture,
Yeah, look, I think the prevailing view for most companies is a very low fidelity or low definition view of their customers. And, all the statistics point to the fact that the data in most CRM systems is incomplete, it's out of date, and in a lot of cases, it's wrong. So what Rich would have spoken about is what Node brings to the table is this enormous externally curated data set, which can complement when internal CRM systems are either incomplete or inaccurate. And that was crucial. When we put them to the test and we saw those percentages in the 80s and 90s, they were using a small fragment of the Sugar CRM data. We expect over time, as they get more familiar and more intimate with Sugar, that the engineers will take more advantage of the CRM data. But just using this treasure trove of external information that they pulled together, they managed to achieve these, enormous, levels of percent accuracy. So for me, that's what high definition is about. It's about high resolution, high fidelity. It's about being able to see your customers, your business, and your market with a degree of clarity that no one's ever been able to see before. And in doing that, getting incredibly high levels of prediction score, which in essence is the ultimate test, is how well can this technology and this data and the time aware, that's an absolute treasure trove of data as well. How can all those things combined lead to increased levels of accuracy in terms of predictions? And being able to provide bankable predictions for our customers is enormous. If you have the ability to see the future with a level of high definition, then you can make really smart business decisions, and you can combine the two things which make businesses valuable: performance and predictability. And even high performing businesses that aren't predictable are valued at a fraction of businesses that have both of those two characteristics. And we can deliver that now with Node. So it's super exciting.
So let me give you a use case. Thinking in for the Latin American market. I am a Mexican international multinational company. I have SugarCRM deployed in 5-6 countries in Latin America, and I have probably 500 users doing a lot of B2B. And here comes COVID. And I have data, good data, bad data. Maybe one department is not really doing a good job, entering the data. Another one is doing a really good job. Some forecast, that I have is okay. It will help me, to tell my boss, we're there. But, in Latin America, with COVID, we had, the exchange of the dollar. We have, the political issues that we have in every country and in every region, saying that, Medellin is different from Bogota, and you have regions in Brazil that are totally different, north and south, and so on and so on. And I get Node you will do this enrichment, you will validate the data, you will go out to all these places and validate the public data, you will look into economics, you will look into, forecasting all the situation, you will enrich that data, and I can come back and say, listen, you forecasting in Colombia might not be really good because what this is happening, and these are the insights. And Mexico is going to be really good, but you need to focus more into your opportunities north of Mexico because that's where you get the biggest probability. Will this scenario, help me with note and the time awareness that you have today?
Well, look, I think COVID's probably the exception. So could you look at other periods where there has been a precipitous drop in terms of exchange rates? Of course you could. Could you still identify things like early warning signs that customers are likely to attrit? Of course you can. In terms of being able to use the time-aware history to be able to project forward, COVID throws a bit of a spanner in the works in my mind. We could probably predict the next COVID. Hopefully it's 100 years away once we get through this period. But we can definitely predict a lot of the other factors. And in my mind, far better than gut feel. But in terms of being able to, take what happened 100 years ago with the Spanish flu and then extrapolate what's going to happen now, a little bit more of a challenge, I would expect.
Let me just add, though, one of the virtues of having the Node platform is our ability to generate models very quickly. So imagine what we'd want to do is less about understanding lengthy timeframes, but more about pumping in information like economic changes or industry changes. The airline industry struggling, companies like Zoom doing well. Adding that information into the mix can really help us, as well as this sort of pure COVID outbreak distribution worldwide, can be amended in those models to make predictions about your ICP is going to have to change because of the impact of COVID. You've been selling to airlines, that's not going to be too good for you. And selling in Germany might be a better place than selling in the UK. So we do have the capacity to do that. And because we can generate models so frequently and so quickly with different data, we actually can give you guidance in a situation like this. It's hard to predict it, but it's easier to understand what to do.
And I think, Rich, to that point, probably that initial cliff, which it was impossible to predict. But once you hit a new normal, which happens pretty quickly, then you can already start using these iterative deep learning models to fine tune that forecast. And once again, do it a lot better than you could with gut feel. But COVID's been a special case by all means.
Rich, you bring a big point, and I think it's something that I'm going to elaborate in my blog in Spanish, because the fact that you can quickly develop new models, I think is very key. It reminds me of 2009 when we have the flu as well going out, and I remember talking to the president of SAS in Mexico, and he told me, listen, most of the people were not able to predict the changes that happened back then, because they were using old models, and they were not able to change them, and they didn't have the agility to go out there and change them. And again, back then we were not talking about ecosystem, we were not talking about platforms, we were not talking about machine learning. And I think that's a benefit, the capability that if you provide that, it's going to be a big plus to be able to quickly change that, apply new models, and be able to be agile into that. You might not be able to predict everything 100%, of course, but the ability to be able to change quickly, I think that's a big plus, so people can have more insights, more awareness, more what-if scenarios to manage that. Because one of the key things in Latin America is that, it's a given. We always are in crisis mode, it doesn't always, but the fact that we can have tools, like know that I embedded into the CRM system, and you can aggregate all that data, now you're going to have more power to look into the small data, look at the data in front of you in your CRM system, and make decisions quickly based on what you have. So the fact that, we are always in a crisis mode, but we can alert, we can predict, we can make changes, we can be proactive, and I think that's a big plus for what I see, as you evolve with the application, that would be the benefit that I see for the Latin American market.
Yeah, I mean, just a quick update using the COVID example, but yours examples as well. One of the things that we're working on already is how does the machine learning platform determine when it's time to update the model? How do you use AI to examine the event stream in our time-aware database and say, things are changing, time to update the model? And we can do that more quickly and in a more informed way than a person, reading the newspaper, watching a few podcasts, no offense. But there's a lot of data coming into the system, and AI models using this platform can say it's different. Something is different here. It's time to update the model. If at a human level, it would be time to update your perspective. But being able to do this at the AI level is much more rapid and much more responsive.
Perfect. So saying that, we have at least probably a minute or so. Anything else that you guys want to mention before we depart?
I'm not sure what's been mentioned so far, so it's a little bit difficult for me. One of the things about Latin America, which I love so much, is our customers in Latin America are the highest percentage of cloud native in the world. So, because we can make this available very quickly for our cloud customers, it means that our LATAM customers, more than any other region, are going to be able to avail themselves of this amazing technology as soon as it, goes prime time. So excited about that, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's moving fast and it's growing a lot. But being the Latin American market, you still have a blue ocean because people are looking for choices. And the cloud, on premise, hosted, on Amazon, whatever the flavors, CapEx, OpEx, financing, Latin America is unique from my perspective, because you want to be able, and regulation laws, a bunch of other stuff that come into play, that they're going to have that option. So it will be, it will be fun to see, next year how they, you guys evolve in Latin America with Node and the growth that you have in the market to see how that goes, So I'm eager to understand more about how that's going to, ping out in the next 6 months and a year, Saying that, so in summarize, for the people who are listening and just join right now, and will join eventually when this goes into the different social media platforms. SugarCRM acquired Node.io, is a artificial intelligence platform. It's going to be embedded in the solution, and that's the big announcement. That's the next step of SugarCRM in the market, and that was the whole idea, to bring, Craig and Rich to discuss this. We know, that sort of the coffee that you guys drink, okay, and we know that we have, the internet today, it might be, it's not predictable. So generally, I really,
I said it generally is, but for whatever reason, today was a bad day.
I know. So I really appreciate, Craig, which is the CEO of SugarCRM, and Rich, the CTO of Sugar, exchange, having this conversation about, the big news that you guys have. And I'll be looking forward to understand more how you progress with this. So thank you very much for being part of this.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you for hosting us. And look, I'm looking forward to giving our customers an unfair advantage over their competitors. That gets me excited, gets me out of bed in the morning, and I know this technology is going to make that happen. So, it's exciting times.
Okay.
Don't go. Super exciting opportunity to bring this. I really appreciate the time, Jesus.
Perfect. Don't go. Stay with me for a second here, okay? So while I say the goodbye here in Spanish. Okay, bueno, este ha sido Jesús Hoyos de CRM Latinoamérica, tomando café con Jesús Hoyos, con Craig Charlton, el CEO de SugarCRM, Rich Green, que es el CTO. Por ahí tuvimos unos issues de conectividad, esa es la nueva normalidad. Esto va a estar publicado pues en LinkedIn, Instagram. Voy a hacer un podcast también especial de esto. Bueno, muchas gracias a todos por escuchar. Hasta la próxima.